Over 1,505 Disney clues have come and gone, but guess what? 26 new ones are headed your way as part of this episode of Disney 100 Jeopardy. Welcome into Disney 100 Jeopardy. As always, I am your host, Bryan Perri, and thank you so much for joining me. Let's jump into the rules real quick. If this is your first time playing, welcome in. If it's not, it's the same rules as always, which means if you want to cheat, be a cheater. I won't tell anyone because I won't know you're doing so be my guest. In last week's episode 55, the final Jeopardy category was over-under, where I gave you a specific number and then read you a clue, and you had to tell me if the answer to that clue was over or under the number I had previously given you. That category, of course, carries over to this episode 56, plus 4 brand new categories are headed your way. Actually, that's not true. 3 brand new categories are headed your way. One of the categories is a previous category I did over 50 episodes ago, all the way back in episode 4. So without further delay, let's see what I will be testing your Disney knowledge on. Once again, over-under will kick things off. The second category you'll be playing, Johnny Rat. This is all about John Ratzenberger, the voiceover artist who's performed as numerous Disney characters over the years. I will play you a clip, but not show you the footage of the clip. You'll have to identify by listening to the character speak which character John is voicing in that scene. The third category you will be playing.
What does the fox say?
That's right, What Does the Fox Say is all about foxes. Is that the plural? Foxes? Yeah, foxes. It's all about foxes that have appeared in Disney films. I will read you a line and give you a little bit of a hint from one of the foxes in a Disney movie, and you'll have to simply identify which character said that line, aka what does the fox say. The fourth category you'll be playing in this episode 56, it's your theme park category of the week, expansions. 5 clues all about different expansions that have happened over the years at Disney theme parks. And the fifth and final category, it is your returning category from episode 4, Walt 2. A lot of people have been asking for a category about Walt Disney specifically, and that's exactly what this is. I had done it already back in episode 4, so pretty much a year ago, but it returns with 5 new clues to test your knowledge about the man, the myth, the legend, Walt Disney. Okay, it is time for the easiest round of the game, the cupcake round. Each of these clues are worth just 200 points each. Hopefully you go 5 for 5. Bank 1,000 points under your belt. So without further delay, let's look at the board and kick things off with over-under. 170 and a half feet. It should say feet. I forgot to write feet there. 170 and a half feet. The height of the Tower of Terror in Orlando. The correct answer is over. That's because the Tower of Terror stands at 199.5 feet. The reason it doesn't reach 200 is because if it did, it would need a blinking light on top of it, and Disney did not want to do that. Though it is a tower, so I guess I feel like it wouldn't ruin the theming that much. They did the same thing for Expedition Everest over at Animal Kingdom. That makes sense. You don't want a blinking light on top of a mountain. We move on now to the second clue of the game. It's Johnny Rat. For 200, listen up.
Hey, boss, can we slow down? May I remind you that some of us are carrying over $6 in change?
The correct answer is Ham from the Toy Story franchise.
Hey, guys, why did the toys cross the road?
Not now, Ham.
Oh, I love riddles. Why?
To get to the chicken on the other side.
Yippee! The chicken! Oh well, we tried.
Ham's got to be his best character, right? I guess I should ask this after the game when you see 5 other iconic characters he's played, but I think Ham's the best. We move on now to What Does the Fox Say for 200. I bet you'd be good playing hide and seek. Want to try, Copper? We have to go all the way back to the early 1980s, 1981 to be exact, for the correct answer. It stems from the film The Fox and the Hound, and the character's name is Todd.
I'm a hound dog. Gee, I bet you'd be good playing hide and seek. You want to try it, Copper? Can I use my nose?
Let's move on to theme parks and expansion for 200. A year after Cars 2 released in theaters, this Disney theme park opened its new $1.1 billion expansion that brought to life Radiator Springs. That, of course, is Cars Land in Disney's California Adventure.
Ka-chow! Bellissimo! Guido, our tires are flying!
Final clue of the cupcake round brings us to the one and only Walt Disney. After losing the rights to Oswald, Walt and his wife Lillian conceptualized the character of Mickey, or Mortimer before Lily changed his name, while riding one of these. The correct answer is a train. It's pretty apropos because Walt Disney, of course, was obsessed with trains, so the fact that Mickey Mouse kind of stemmed from one seems to make sense. That's going to do it for the cupcake round. Once again, hopefully you went 5 for 5, banked 1,000 points under your belt, but if not, fear not, because here comes the second round. Each of these clues worth twice as much. We once again move across the board. You got a 50-50 shot on this over-under. Over-under 4.5. The number of Pixar movies that feature the number 2 in the title. The correct answer is under. That's because it is 3. The total is 3. You've got Toy Story 2 first. That's followed by Cars 2, I think. And then Incredibles 2. There we go. I got it off the top of my head. But yeah, those are the only 3 movies to feature the number 2 in the Pixar title. We move on now to the second clue from Johnny Rats. Once again, you need to identify the character voiced by John Ratzenberger.
One should never drive while drowsy.
The correct answer here is Mac from Cars.
I'm Mac, the official transport truck for number 95 himself, Lightning McQueen.
On to What Does the Fox Say Now for 400. Hi diddle-dee-dee, an actor's life for me are words sung by this charismatic villain. Well, you've got 2 answers here. You could go with Honest John, that would be correct, or you could go with J. Worthington Foulfellow, the mischievous fox from Pinocchio.
Hi, diddle-dee-dee, an actor's life for me.
On to expansions for the second time. This one's worth 4. Along with New Fantasyland, this area of the Magic Kingdom debuted in 2012. So if I'm being honest, I'm not thrilled with this area. I kind of wish that it was what it was before. But the correct answer is Storybook Circus. We finish off the second round now with another clue about Walt. Walt's middle name. So you might have heard the term WED throughout Disney history. You've got, Wedway People Mover from the parks back in the day. You've got WED Enterprises before it was renamed to Disney Imagineering. That's because WED are the initials for Walt Disney. His middle name is Elias. And by the way, Elias comes from Walt's dad. That was his father's name. Okay, 10 clues down, 16 remain. But before we get to the third round, shout out to all of you who participated in the Run Disney events earlier this month. Truly inspirational stuff. I used to work at the events when I was in the entertainment department, and I would see all these people running, and I was like, I don't think I could run a mile. So for everyone else who did not participate in the events, this is the shirt for you. I showed off the Zero Bothers Given shirt last week. Then we also designed this one, which says, I only run for rope drop. Because, yeah, that is certainly the case. I don't think I could run a mile, but I feel like I could run like 20 miles if it means I'm going to be the first one to ride Space Mountain in the morning. So, yeah, shout out to everyone else who only runs for rope drop. Okay, here comes the third round of the game. These clues were at 600 points. We once again begin with over-under. 15. Ooh, I love this one. 15 and a half. The number of times Elsa says "let it go" in "Let It Go." She says it a total of 12 times, meaning the correct answer is under.
Let it go, let it go. 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 The perfect girl is gone.
On to our third clue from John Ratzenberger.
I am always beneath you, but nothing is beneath me!
Correct answer is The Underminer from The Incredibles.
Nothing is beneath me! I hereby declare war on peace and happiness!
Here comes your third Fox clue. You could have chosen a more romantic setting, is a line this fox says after Robin Hood asks her to marry him while he's in the middle of a sword fight. The lady who speaks that line is Maid Marian.
Marion, my love, will you marry me?
Oh, darling, I thought you'd never ask me. But you could have chosen a more romantic setting.
Here comes your third expansion clue of the game. This is worth 6. The introduction of this new area to Disneyland in 2019 forced the famous Disneyland Railroad to adjust its track and feature a left turn for the first time. The correct answer is Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. That's right, the Disneyland Railroad used to just make a big circular tour, grand circle tour around Disneyland, and then Star Wars Galaxy's Edge came in, killed off the petting zoo, what was it called? Big Thunder Ranch, killed that off, and was so massive that they had to adjust the Rivers of America and the train, so now the train cuts right and then makes its first left. And I remember going out and riding it in 2019 and being like, yeah, we're making a left turn, looking around and being like, why am I the way that I am? We move on now. Here comes Walt for 6. As a young boy, Walt played this character in a school play, long before he created an animated film based on the same story. The correct answer is Peter Pan.
Here we go!
How about that, huh? Just playing the character of Peter Pan and then 40 years later you're like, I'm gonna bring this thing to a whole nother level. Okay, 15 clues down, 11 remain. We move on to the slightly more difficult 800-point round. It begins with over-under. 71 and a half. The amount of eggs Gaston eats daily. Well, now that he's an adult, he eats 5 dozen eggs. If you do the math, 5 times 12 is 60. So the correct answer is under.
And now that I'm grown, I eat 5 dozen eggs.
I think it's more impressive that as a kid he ate 4 dozen eggs. Like, how does a child eat 48 eggs a day? It's disgusting, honestly. Wonder how he ate them. Fried, eggs Benedict, scrambled, whatever. We move on now. Here comes the 4th clue from Johnny Rats. Identify the character you hear in the audio.
I'm a nice guy. Snow cone? No, don't worry. It's lemon.
Ooh, it was a brief appearance, but a funny one nonetheless. The correct answer is the Yeti from Monsters Incorporated.
Welcome to the Himalayas! Wait a minute here. They're just using the same actor over and over. What kind of a cut-rate production is this?
Let's move on to the Fox now for 800. Hey Judy, I'd like to... Sorry, this is one of my favorite moments in this movie. Hey Judy, I'd like to say I'm sorry for the way I behaved in my youth. I had a lot of self-doubt that manifested itself in the form of unchecked rage and aggression. I was a major jerk. It is from Zootopia. The correct answer is Gideon Gray.
Hey, Judy, I'd just like to say I'm sorry for the way I behaved in my youth. I had a lot of self-doubt, and it manifested itself in the form of unchecked rage and aggression. I was a major jerk.
Oh, I know a thing or two about being a jerk.
I'm sure a lot of you expected me to include Nick Wilde as one of the Fox answers, and maybe I do. There is one Fox clue left in the 1,000 point round, but I had to throw in Gideon Gray because I think that line is so funny, the way he delivers it. Here comes your fourth clue from the expansion category. Disneyland introduced this expansion to the park in 1993. The correct answer is Mickey's Toontown. Mickey's Toontown just went under a refurbishment and now includes Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I love the area, but I did love Mickey's Toontown Fair over in the Magic Kingdom, which I kind of mentioned earlier, was replaced by Storybook Circus. Luckily, Disneyland's smart and still has their version. Nothing better than going to Mickey's house. We go on to the final clue of the fourth round. It's all about Walt Disney. The idea for Disneyland spawned on Walt's mind while he was sitting on a bench and watching his daughters ride a merry-go-round in this Los Angeles area public space. Well, last month I was out in Los Angeles and I had to make a stop at the correct answer to this clue, that being Griffith Park. That is where Walt Disney was sitting on a bench watching his daughters ride a merry-go-round, and he thought to himself, we need a Disneyland. Then he made Disneyland, and it was like literally like 2 years later, Disneyland was open, which is just so funny with how slow things operate now. But yeah, that was the case. When I was out there were no benches or anything. But can you imagine that? You're just sitting on a bench, and you're like, you know what? You just take your last name, and you put it in front of land. You're like, we need a Perry Land, and then you just build it. That must be pretty cool. Well done, Walt. Okay, 20 clues down, 6 remain, including Final Jeopardy. But before we get there, you know what time it is. It is time for the most overly dramatic, soundtrack-infused, unnecessarily spotlighted part of the game, the 1,000 point round. Hit it. Okay, the 1,000 point round is here, ready to ruin your day. But we begin with a bit of a gift, a 50-50 shot at answering this one correctly. It's over-under for 1K. Disney's Renaissance era of 1989 through 1999 consisted of 10 feature animation releases. Over under 3.5 of them had titles that began with the word the. As a reminder, I say it every week, when I say feature animation, it means only the 62 film library from Disney Feature Animation. You can check out that library by going to DisneyAnimation.com to get a better idea of what it includes. It does not include any of the Disney Toon or straight to VHS movies that also were released under the Disney brand. But yeah, over under 3.5 Disney feature animation movies that started with the word the in the title between 1989 and 1999. The correct answer is over. That's because the feature animation releases that came out between 1989 and 1999 to feature the word the during the Renaissance era were The Little Mermaid, The Rescuers Down Under, The Lion King, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's time for your final clue from Johnny Rats. Get ready to identify the character.
Should I tell them?
What did you tell them?
I told them I would ask.
All right, this one was a bit tougher. The correct answer is Mustafa. I went back and watched the majority of Ratatouille, and I don't know if they ever even say his name, so if you just said the waiter from Ratatouille, that works for me. If you said Mustafa, you get 1 extra decimal of a point, I guess. But either way, it is the waiter from Ratatouille.
We have a very nice foie gras.
Yeah, I know about the foie gras. The old standby used to be famous for it. What does the chef have that's new?
So what is that? What is new?
You?
What do I tell them?
Well, what did you tell them?
I told them I would ask.
What are you blathering about?
Here comes your final What Does the Fox Say clue. While Mr. Woolensworth is taking attendance in 2005's Chicken Little, this character responds to her name with present, pretty, and punctual. I tell you what, every time I come up with a Chicken Little clue, I tell myself I have to go back and watch it, give it another chance, even though the Rotten Tomatoes score is as abysmal as it is. Every clip I watch seems kind of funny, so yeah, this is from Chicken Little. The correct answer is Foxy Loxy.
Very well, Foxy Loxy.
Present, pretty, and punctual.
Here comes your final theme park clue of the day. It's all about expansion. Tokyo Disney Sea is set to debut Fantasy Springs this upcoming June. The new expansion will feature lands based on these 3 films. Now, if you tuned into Inside 300, my weekly Disney news show earlier this week, you already know about Fantasy Springs and how cool it looks. It will consist of lands featuring Peter Pan, Frozen, and Tangled. Look at that place. It's also getting 4 original new rides all at once. Can you imagine that happening in the States? Like Disney opening a new land that incorporates 3 new lands and 4 brand new rides all at once? Yeah, no shot. That's happening over here. Okay, here comes the final clue on the board. It's all about the boss, Walt Disney. Walt's first animation studio, Laugh-O-Gram, was based in this U.S. city. Home to your Super Bowl champions, the correct answer is Kansas City, Missouri. So there you have it. 25 clues down, 1 remains, but it happens to be the one clue that will ultimately determine how proud of yourself you will be for the next 7 days. Let's check out the final Jeopardy category in this episode 56. That was Disney, that's right. I kind of touched on this a few episodes ago where I read you clues about movies that you didn't know were Disney films. That's pretty much what this is, except there's a twist. Remember in last week's episode 55 where I showed you the cover of a 90s VHS and you had to tell me what movie that cover was from because I blurred out the title? That's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to show you a promotional poster from a film that honestly, I didn't know it was a Disney movie or released under the Disney brand. It might not have been produced by Disney, there's a big difference there. It might have been just released by Disney, but the Disney logo is on the cover, and you'll have to tell me what the promotional poster is for. Okay, make those wagers on your knowledge, I guess, of movie posters. Okay, time is up. When I show you this poster, it really makes me laugh, and I think you'll see why. Here we go. Final clue from episode 56. There you go. Does this poster or film look familiar? Good luck. Okay, time is up. When I saw this movie, a poster for this movie, I watched it that day because I was like, what is this? This is not Madagascar. No, if you said Madagascar, that's incorrect. This is something else, but has extreme similarities to Madagascar. You just have to check it out. The correct answer is The Wild. All right, guys, you have to watch this movie because it just, I mean, you know, they'll deny that it was derived from Madagascar. But again, it came out a year after DreamWorks' Madagascar and features a lion and one of his friends being a giraffe escaping the Central Park Zoo, which, by the way, is the exact storyline of Madagascar, escaping the Central Park Zoo in New York City and then getting on a boat and ending up in Africa. It's like literally what happens in both movies. It is insane. I don't even remember if I liked the movie. I was just so astounded that this movie came out like a year after Madagascar. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, check it out. That's going to do it for this episode of Disney 100 Jeopardy. You know the deal. If you like what you saw, be sure to subscribe. Click that bell icon. Hello, bell. This way, you are notified whenever we come out with brand new content. I've got something brewing this week in terms of video content. I'll be counting down the top 5 most missed Universal Orlando attractions. So if that's something that interests you, it will drop in the middle of this upcoming week. If not, that's all right. Episode 57 drops next Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Once again, I've been your host, Bryan Perri. I'll see you then.
Bye-bye.